Hey y'all. So I just wanted to talk really quickly about anxiety. I know everyone has probably felt anxiety. Some people have crippling anxiety. Um, I have a friend who was talking to me recently that, she didn't believe anxiety attacks were real until she had one herself. And she's like, boy, those are legit. And I'm like, same thing. I had seen them. I knew they were real though. I mean, I take care of people. I know they're real. And I've had anxiety before, off and on, as anyone has, situational anxiety mostly, but I've had anxiety. I've had I went through a divorce and I lost my dad. And, I've had anxiety. But a few years ago, after my hysterectomy, my estrogen levels were 3 times as high, the upper limit of normal, like ridiculous, off the charts high. And because I'm very sensitive to medication, so anyway, I had the estrogen of 3 women. That should scare everyone. That should scare especially men. Like my husband was like afraid to sleep, he wanted to sleep in another room with the door locked. And it finally came down. But during that time, I thought I was going crazy, y'all. I would have these my heart would race. I would sweat. I had that fight or flight, like I have to get out of here, but I don't know where to run to. I don't know whether to hide or to run. It was like, oh my gosh, it was awful. And so grateful that they were able to, get my estrogen back to normal and relieve me of that issue, because it was horrible. And I know people, whose thyroid levels are out that will have anxiety, or, a plethora of reasons. Some people have PTSD, or just a lot of people just have general anxiety. Well, y'all know I've been going to all these events this past year in 2019. It was like an amazing year for growth. And one of the things that I thought was really cool is how they talked to us a lot about how to relieve anxiety, and not like horrible, crippling situational anxiety. Like if you're going through something horrible, the loss of a loved one, or, something traumatic, but just your general everyday anxiety. So, and yes, they mentioned meditation and yoga, and they mentioned all those things. All those things are wonderful. I love both of those. That absolutely would do them every day if I was, could find the time to absolutely fit them into every day. I try, but no, what they talked about was, if you're feeling, and I heard this at every single conference I went to, that if you're feeling anxious, that it is impossible to feel anxious and grateful at the same time. It's also impossible, they said, to feel angry and grateful at the same time, or really sad and grateful at the same time, but especially anxious and angry. And that was fascinating to me, because we really did a lot of gratitude work. Because a lot of times we don't realize how much we have to be grateful for, because we're so focused on the things that we're anxious about, or angry about, or we don't have, or we want. And or we're anxious about the past or the future or the present. There's too much to be anxious about. So one of the things they talked about was practicing daily gratitude. So for the last 2 or 2.5 years, I have written in a journal every single night. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for. And I'm not allowed to write down things. I've been doing that with Rachel Hollis, but I'm not allowed to write down things like, my kids or my parents or my husband or my, whatever, my home. It has to be little things, like someone let me in traffic this morning, didn't try to cut me off, or, my husband warmed up my car before I went to work this morning, or, he made me a cup of tea, which was fantastic on my way out the door. My kids didn't fight after school today. I mean, just, little things. And if you will write down 5 little bitty things that you're grateful for every day, you can write more if you want. It teaches you to look for the small things to be grateful for every day. Because I know I got to write down at least 5. And I'm like, so if I get a phone call from a friend I haven't heard from in a while, or I run into someone, I'm like, that was so nice. I'm going to put that in my gratitude journal tonight. So it teaches you to look for little things to be grateful for, not just the big things. And it really does lighten your load. But when they talked about, like, one of the speakers, I'm going to mess his name up, y'all. It's Nick. I wrote it down. Nick Santanastasso? Oh, anyway, y'all should follow him. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you should follow him. It's Nick, Santonastasso. Yeah, so I could pronounce it. Anyway, he's fantastic. He was born, he told a story, which I'm going to share with you. He was born with no legs, only one arm with one finger on that arm. And his parents, basically raised him not to feel sorry for himself and to get out there and participate. And he went to regular school and all of this stuff. And he gets around. You may have seen him. He went into wrestling. He works out in a gym. Like, he's incredible. Like, The Rock talks about how he looks up to Nick. I mean, it's just incredible. But anyway, he was at two of the conferences for sure that I went to. And he tells a story about him. He's a motivational speaker as well as wrestling and all that stuff. But he's talked about how he got onto a plane. It was a Southwest flight, because everybody could sit where they wanted. And he said, one nice thing about, being me is I get to get on the plane early. So, he sat right up in the front seat by the window, and one after one, people got on the plane and no one sat down next to him. Like, they would avert their eyes or not, try not to look and just go. And he said it took him back to elementary and junior high, when he felt like, he was the last kid to get picked for things or those kind of things. And he said that it went to that painful place and brought all those feelings back. And he looked out the window and he was like, ugh, I was trying hard not to cry. And, finally, it was a very full flight. So eventually, he said two people had to sit down next to him. And he was like, man, Nick, you teach this stuff. What do you have to be grateful for in this moment? Like, reframe this. That is his thing. Reframe this. And so, y'all, oh, sorry, my hair is so dirty. This is some dry shampoo going on right now. So he said, I thought about it. I'm like, what do I have to be grateful for right now? Like, what? It doesn't matter what it is. What is it? And he said, I got it. I am so grateful. I have the most leg room of anyone on this flight right now. Y'all, I love it. That was so great. I mean, he laughs every time he tells it. And it's because he found something to bring him out of that, to make himself laugh and to say, you know what, I'm grateful. Everybody else here is uncomfortable. I got plenty of room. So no matter what it is, try and find a way to find gratitude every day. Everyone has something to be grateful for. And try to find the small things, because that's actually pretty fun, going through the day looking for small things to be grateful for when you got to write them down later. So anyway, when you're feeling anxious or you're feeling angry, what I do is I end up putting my hand over my heart and just thinking about something I'm deeply grateful for. And it seems to help a whole lot. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you find lots to be grateful for, and reframe it and find your legroom. Have a good night.